psychic radio, holistic radio, spiritual radio. This is achieveradio.com. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/achieveradio.
Sometimes your body not feel so fine, head hanging low most of the time. Got that meat sack not doing good, head hanging low, don't feel like you should. I talk to the Carolyn. What? Talk to the Carolyn. Talk to the Carolyn. Talk to the Carolyn.
Welcome, everybody. We are live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here on achieveradio.com. I'm Jenny Gunther, also known as Jenny Almighty, and I'll be with you tonight for the next 2 hours, along with the absolutely amazing, spontaneously combustible, absolutely incredible Dr. Carolyn Dean, who will be here to light your socks and hair on fire about your health, vitality, and well-being, and get you on the right side of the street, going in the right direction toward Wellville for sure. We're so happy to have you here with us this evening, those who are calling in from the United States and listening to on your computers, and those, again, tuning in from around the world, including our good friends in New Zealand and in the UK, and we've got friends in South Africa, and we're just always so pleased to hear from everybody. So thank you and welcome again this evening for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. And I tell you, it is just such a treat to be with Dr. Carolyn Dean. She is one of the most amazing women, and I've had the pleasure of being with her in the flesh for the last 2 weeks, accompanying her on her world tour, and it's just been fantastic. She is absolutely positively who she declares herself to be. She is a doctor. She is full of compassion and wisdom. She is a naturopath. She is not going to sell out on the body and what our natural genomic capacities are if you give the body the basic building blocks. She is a teacher. She is going to teach and teach. She teaches everyone everywhere, and everywhere she goes, she graces people with that wisdom and that knowledge that she does have. She elevates conversation. She brings people out of the daily ho-hum of thinking that their bodies are just pieces of meat and machines that just have to be told what to do. And she brings them into such an awareness of their vibrancy and their potential. And everywhere she goes, people are healed. And it's not just because of her products. It's because of her presence. It's because of her grace. And it's because of her willingness to really be with people, to listen to what's going on with them, and to insist that they stand up for themselves and they are well, they be healthy. And it's just such a delight to be with her. She's fun, she's dynamic, and she never gives up. She never stops. She keeps going. She's got so much energy. I mean, she just goes. And I just don't know very many women of her stature, her capacity, or ability, and I am just so honored. I just literally look at myself and just praise myself for having done something right with my life, that I actually get to hang out with this fantastic woman. So thank you, everybody, for listening and joining us again this evening. You'll be thrilled with everything you get to learn and hear from her tonight. Welcome again, Dr. Carolyn Dean.
Ginny, that awesome introduction. Thank you very much. And I could say ditto about Ginny as well. And Ginny and Greg was along with us. He took care of us. We just sort of trooped behind Greg as he navigated the airports and the car rentals. And it was an awesome trip. And maybe just to say a few words about that trip, and we'll probably interject through the next few weeks, but our last meetings where we viewed 2 plants in one state, we met with 2 young gentlemen, big hulking guys. I took them for athletes when they were in college, and sure enough, as soon as we started mentioning magnesium and what we were doing with Remag and how awesome it is for people, and how we really hoped we could get a market to people before they get sick, like the athletes, the young people who are draining their adrenal glands and their magnesium and ending up in their 40s, 50s, and 60s ill with this total body breakdown that we're talking about. And it didn't take more than a paragraph or two before they're both saying, look, sign me up. I need that stuff. So what we saw there from, hardened salespeople is a segment of the population that really wants to get healthy and stay healthy. These young people who are going around in pain, and they just turn to drugs. So, didn't you think that was pretty amazing, Ginny, that whole encounter?
Yeah, I thought I agree 100%. Your words were perfect. Yes, they were, and they have worked in the nutrition and supplement industry for many years. And we get those emails all the time. We got one over the weekend. For all the things that I've done and all the disciplines and routines and everything that I've done with my body, I find myself with AFib. And they're just shocked. They've invested so much in the natural health movement, but what they don't have, and when you go drill down, they don't have magnesium. They just don't. They don't have it. And it's just so shocking that something is missing like that.
Yeah, and we know why. People say, "Oh, why does that happen?" They're just taking the laxative forms of magnesium. Nobody has bothered to do the research and do the education about non-laxative magnesium. The one where, the chemist and the manufacturer we work with, we have an exclusive on this 60,000 parts per million. And they want to keep it like that because they know that this magnesium is very therapeutic. It's very effective. It's very strong. And they don't want to put it in the hands of just someone who's trying to sell bottles of products. And we had that experience as well, didn't we, Ginny, when we went to this huge, almost 200,000 square foot supplement manufacturing company where they are spitting out capsules and tablets like there's no tomorrow. It's like hundreds of thousands of capsules and tablets every day are being made, being shipped out, being sold. And we know for a fact from all the feedback we get from our customers that they aren't working. They really don't stand the test of time where you take them long enough and they help you, because these are the people that we're getting in droves who come to our website, come to our customer service and say, well, look, just like you said a minute ago, all the things that I've done for my health all these years, and I'm still, I still feel crappy. And we just can't tell you how many people in the health and wellness arena, consultants, and, maybe it's people who've tried to better their health because they've been ill and they've taken courses and they're educating other people, but they're still feeling bad themselves, or they're trying to help their family, and the things they've learned, the basics of health and nutrition, have not sufficed. And it's because nobody went back to the basics of what are the basic building blocks and why aren't they working. They're not working in, for example, the dirt mineral capacity because they're dirt. They're not absorbed. The dirt minerals are absorbed 4 to 20%, even the chelated minerals. That's it. And with magnesium, because it's needed for 700, 800 enzyme processes, that's like, 10 times more than most other nutrients. So it's got to be the pivotal mineral that you need that kind of is the linchpin for everything else working or not working. It's the linchpin for how your genes work. And, I've been ranting on for a long time now that people are going to all these tests and these gene testing and finding out, my genes are all messed up. not realizing that it's the nutrients that switch these genes on and off. So, I've got a big battle on my hands coming up as more and more people try to tell me, oh, my genes are all a mess, I'll never be well. And, when you come to a therapy with the attitude that, well, nothing's helped me so far, so nothing's going to help me ever. We have to battle against that mindset right from the beginning, where people are constantly calling us and emailing and saying, well, I doubt if you can help me. Now, how does your body feel when you have that negative aspect of, I'm never going to be well, and, you can try all you want, I'll throw some money at this product, but it's not going to work. We have to work against that, and you're working against that. And, I'm not trying to say at all that you should just trust what we say and take our stuff and be happy. You have all the resources of hundreds of hours of radio shows, thousands of pages of material that I've written, so that you can kind of convince your own left brain that's been so modified by the negativity surrounding you. You can talk yourself into at least saying, well, maybe I'll give this a chance. It certainly makes intellectual sense. It certainly seems to be the list of my 20 major symptoms. I'm talking now specifically about magnesium deficiency. And then afterward, you look at your other minerals and think, well, if I'm low in magnesium, maybe I'm low in the others. It's a little bit of an intellectual stretch there because you've never heard it before. And that's why we go on and on about this. So, yes, we had a wonderful time together. Ginny and I get so enthused. I mean, you can tell we're just rocketing into the future. We're just so excited. When Ginny said, I'm going to light your socks and hair on fire. I mean, that's true. I mean, we're just so convinced that the quality of our products, all our manufacturers are right there behind us, and making the best product possible. And that's the other thing that you have to look at is looking at the certificate of analysis of the products you're using. If you want to go into the details, you're supposed to be able to access those from the various companies, because there is a lot of small manufacturing practices, or there are a lot of small manufacturing practices that don't meet the standards anymore, and we all have to be knowledgeable about what we're taking and what's out there, and by asking the mere questions about certificate of analysis, you can propel a company into doing their due diligence and get it right, so that they will produce quality products. And although drug companies, they're supposed to do that and they do that, what you have to be aware of there is looking at the list of ingredients. Because when they put polyethylene glycol and all kinds of dyes, fillers, additives into their products, for what reason, I have no idea, those things are potentially toxic to the body, and that's why, we suggest people avoid them along with the chemicals. But anyway, I am rambling, and now I'm going to ask Ginny if I should go ahead with your blog, Ginny. Maybe that's kind of how we've been directing our topic today. What do you think? Ginny wrote a blog, rnareset.com, about what was the title of the blog? I clipped the words, but tell me the title again, Ginny.
It's the reset, resetting your body with the proper building blocks.
So that's what we're talking about right here. So Ginny says, good and poor health are determined at the level of the millions of cells making up the human body. So what we're saying, Ginny started saying this, and I totally agree. We are working at the cellular level. we don't want the nutrients we're using to just go in the bloodstream and measure them there and say, well, our work is done. We want this to be working at the cellular level. And we know it is because the size of the minerals and the picometer size and the stabilized ions of these minerals are being absorbed at the cellular level. And we know that as well because of the results, because people feel them right away and they get better. Ginny goes on, magnesium, vitamins, amino acids, and minerals are needed for the thousands of biochemical reactions taking place in each cell, and the chronic deficiency of these nutrients is the most frequent cause of cellular dysfunction. Replenishing these cells with essential nutrients supports their energy production and leads to optimal health. However, without adequate supplementation, the normal functioning of cells will eventually become impaired, resulting in poor health. The body does not get well by making damaged cells work correctly. It gets well by making new cells that work correctly. The process of rebuilding a new and healthy you is based on the fact that the body is constantly replacing itself. Every hour, your body is creating 80 million new cells. And as each new cell is built, the body seeks proper building materials from which to construct a cell. If the body cannot find good, healthy material, it will use whatever is available. So you can see right there how we are getting sicker and sicker. If we are building 80 million new cells every hour, and you don't have enough magnesium for those cells, or selenium, or copper, or any of the other minerals we work with, then the cell is going to be off kilter. It's not going to be perfect and complete. And Jenny continues, as each new cell is built, the body seeks proper building materials from which to construct a cell. That's a repeat. I'm just repeating it. If the body cannot find good, healthy materials, it will use whatever is available. Actually, that's important there, because if you think of the fat layer that coats every cell membrane, it's coated with a fatty membrane. The nerves especially need a good fatty membrane. And if you're not eating good fats and you just eat trans fats or fried food fats or canola oil, which is genetically modified, but that's been covered up, then you're building your cells with bad fats. It's that simple. So we need the raw materials and sufficient cellular energy to use the materials, and cell energy is created in the Krebs cycle. And as I said, ad infinitum, 6 of the 8 steps in the Krebs cycle to make energy require magnesium. And if any of these raw materials are lacking, pharmaceuticals and or surgeries will not help. And that's where we started making jokes like, well, the body's not deficient in Prozac. The body's not deficient in Ativan or any of the other drugs. It's deficient in the nutrients that make the cells. And the body has the ability to heal itself of many ailments if it is supplied with sound nutrition and proper cellular energy. And we're proving that every day when people say, I've had, what was that gentleman? He had a sore in his nose, or call it a wound. We don't like the word sore. He had a wound in his nose for 30 years. And shortly after taking, was it RNA drops or Remag, Ginny, that he attributed
it was
his
the
nose
Remag.
healing?
Yeah,
Remag. Just magnesium, yeah. His cells were lacking it, and they were breaking down and causing this wound in his nose, and the Remag cured him. Ginny goes on, alternative medicine doctors, in a vain attempt to identify the underlying cause of these overwhelming symptoms, turn to expensive lab tests and dig into the minutia of genetic mutations, hair tissue mineral analysis, hormone testing, amino acid analysis, and vitamin and mineral blood tests. Most testing is not reproducible, inaccurate, confusing, and leads to recommendations for ineffective and expensive supplementation while ignoring the basic needs of the body for good mineral nutrition, gentle detox, and a diet that supports perfect health. Instead of a cupboard full of drugs or supplements or more words, my Total Body Reset approach to balance your body focuses on 5 reset formulas designed to both heal and prevent health problems by 1, supplying minerals at work, remag, remite, and, our constant advice to drink enough water and put sea salt in your water. Number 2, gently detoxing the body. That's with Realign. 3, highly absorbed proteins in our restructure. 4, making perfect cells with RNA drops. And what drives the reset formulas and makes them so therapeutic is an intended synergism where each formula interfaces with all the others. Our commitment is to keep the number of products you buy and take to a workable minimum while maximizing this synergism. So there you have it. I mean, that's what we're kind of handing you on a platter. It took me a long while to come to this stage, and I don't want other people to have to take all that time to get here. So I'm just kind of handing over the information I've learned over the years. And yes, indeed, they are products. Yes, indeed, you have to purchase them. And yes, I sell them to you. And what I keep telling people is, if I withheld these products, it would be like me withholding, the cure for cancer. And I'm not saying we're getting into the cancer business. I focus on total biology for treating cancer as well as using the Total Body Reset. But I just can't withhold this information because it is so vital, and we're having so many good results. And every day people are sending in their testimonials, and it's as if they understand the importance of it and want to encourage other people to take action, and the action is just to take these formulas. And I would encourage it even more. Going back to the story of these 2 young salesmen and their past history in athletics, and their bodies have been damaged, and I don't know if they're taking pain medication, but that when you've got your knees blown out and your ankles blown out and your shoulders blown out, it's pretty hard to avoid pain medication. So I would say to anyone who's listening to this show, now live or in the archives, if you know young people who are hurting, tell them about the program. Tell people how you're feeling and how you're doing. If they rebuff you in the beginning, tell them again. We haven't really kind of promoted this line of thought that you should get out there and be an ambassador for the products. We just tell people, look, take care of yourself. But it's getting pretty dangerous out there. Any article you read about health now talks about all the drugs being used, the people are addicted to these opioids, and doctors are being attacked because they're giving people too many pain medications. But what are people supposed to do when all they know is drugs? Well, different, and maybe it's time we all kind of stood up and keep people appraised of what we're doing and how good we feel, and just say, look, that's a magnesium deficiency. So, what do you think, Ginny? Are you proselytizing for Remag and Remite and all the RNA Reset products?
Yeah, I am, and I don't mind, though, because I just know the testimonials we get, and I do have to say this thing, too, though, Carolyn, which I kind of started to say at the end of last week's show. with the remag in particular, the minerals, the recalcia, the remite, these are not just minerals. These are living crystals. You just don't even understand what happens to this formula. The guy who makes this, the chemist, is a nerd. I mean, I'm talking a science nerd of epic proportions, and he is a quantum science nerd. And he has figured out a way to actually, through an 18-part process, all supervised by the FDA, people, through this 18-part process, he has actually figured out how to transform this magnesium into something that is pretty much alive. And your cells are actually little teeny tiny microchips. We are cellular beings. We are electric. We are alive with light. And these little light crystals are going in people's bodies and having their way with people because they're alive and they're able to deliver life at a level. Now, you take that and multiply that by the RNA drops, and then you take that and you multiply that by the restructure, which has the RNA drop living crystals in them and living eye cells in them. And then you take that and multiply that by the B vitamins and realign. And there's a reason why people are literally recovering so rapidly from chronic diseases of 20, 30, 40 years. So, yes, am I proselytizing? You bet. I mean, I just think it's incredible what we have and how people do recover. And if you feel good, you're going to feel better. And if you don't feel great, you're going to feel better. And if you feel rotten, you're going to feel better. And there's no way that you can't win at this, and you're going to feel better. And not only are you going to feel better, but your mind is going to be more clear. One of the main testimonials that we get, especially with people who start using the Remite, is my brain fog is gone. I had brain fog for 2 years, and now my brain fog is gone in a week. I mean, just think what that means to people. Brain fog is like somebody wrapped a wet towel around your head, or like your head is in a bubble, like you're wearing like a an astronaut's helmet or something. And you get plugged in with that Remite that is a true electrolyte, and now I understand fully what that means. It's going to light you up. Yeah. So, and some people say, "Oh, I took the products and I just, like, you feel alive, and you've been sick for 30 years. You're not used to feeling alive, but that's what life feels like. You're plugged in." So, yes, I am definitely proselytizing. I'm so excited about it, and I'm excited about, the quality of everything. Now, Carolyn, I think you actually had an experience of making your own product.
Oh, right. Yes, when I was visiting one of our plants, they were in the process of making the Renew cream, Renew body lotion, serum, whatever we call it, but it was Renew. So I was there with my little net hat on and my booties and my white coat, and and it's kind of necessary because the temperature in these plants is pretty cold. And doing the measuring and only making one or two little, big mistakes. But it was really fun. And there's a system to making Renew, to making all the products. And this is what the FDA wants us to be aware of. You have a sheet, each step is done, and you tick it off. And because oftentimes when you're doing a repetitive job, you can doze out. You have to be taking our products in order to stay focused. But that was really fun. So the next set of Renew serum that comes out to people will have not my breath because I had a mask on, not my fingerprints because I had gloves on, but they will have my energetic essence. So that was wonderful. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, it is wonderful how the supplement industry is doing their due diligence and doing it right, and we're happy. We're bragging about it. We're happy to let people know what we're achieving and that we're being compliant and keeping everything in very good shape, quality, effective. Well, that's another thing. When I say the word effective, we know our products are effective, and when the FDA is doing the standardization of procedures with companies, including drug companies, they don't require effectiveness of a drug or a supplement. And I think that's where people have been misled or misled themselves to think that because the FDA is putting a stamp on the drugs that they're going to work. And because there's so much money involved, with creating these drugs, that somehow they're going to work. And I think a lot of us are waking up to the fact that that's just not true. What they are is most likely clean, and the ingredients in them are what the package insert says. But when they're doing studies now, and I've said this before, they aren't even measuring drugs against a placebo anymore, because placebos were working 60% of the time. So the placebo was working better than the drug, so they stopped using placebos. And when they test most drugs now, they just test it against another drug, and they say, oh, well, this drug works 7% better than the other drug, so this is the top drug now. And they can say that with this, mere 7% improvement over the other drug. But anyway, I don't want to talk about drugs. I want to jump in and just quickly mention the only blog I wrote last week, because it was to announce a summit that I was on, and it's the PCOS summit. Now, why I want to throw that into this conversation is PCOS, the polycystic ovarian syndrome. It's part of the total body meltdown. It's just focused on the ovaries, on the sex hormones, on the imbalance of the sex hormones. But other people with total body meltdown, they may start with adrenal shutdown or adrenal irritation, weakness, or fatigue, or, meltdown. Or they may start with thyroid, Hashimoto's, or hypothyroid, or hyperthyroid. So it's the focus of the first group of symptoms may be different, but the whole picture is of total body meltdown, and all these people, whether they come at it through their sex hormones and ovaries, or their thyroid, or their adrenals, or their immune system, they all end up having layers of everything. And you know what I'm talking about. And it's you can read this, my thyroid books and my all my ebooks. I really do interweave how the food allergies and the fatigue, the insomnia, the muscle spasms, even the atrial fibrillation, they all weave in and out of total body meltdown, which in my opinion is the magnesium and mineral deficiency and yeast overgrowth. And that's our focus. I mean, I will, I'll certainly entertain other things, and we're dealing with the public here. I'm not trying to say that we're dealing with 100% of all conditions, but if you get yourself balanced with the total body reset and the yeast treatments that we're talking about, then you'll be on your way. And if there's anything left over, then you can do your $1 million workup. But don't do it for mineral deficiencies and yeast overgrowth, because no one will pick up on that. And speaking of yeast, we're finally going to be launching the yeast book next week, but we have been telling people, and they've seen it on our shopping cart, that we are carrying the Prescript Assist. We're not private labeling it. It's a very special soil-based probiotic that I've been using for a long time, and I just wanted to make it more accessible for people. And the yeast book will be out next week with the yeast protocol and the yeast diet. And, my thesis with that is if you have your magnesium saturated, if you're taking the total body reset as well, then you have a far greater chance of getting your yeast in balance. And the book is called Reset the Yeast Connection, because it is a reset. We do need some yeast. And if you remember Dr. William Crook's book, The Yeast Connection, I've been trying to update that book with Random House for years, and they never agreed to it. So, we're going to end run them with Reset the Yeast Connection. So that's my blog. And if Ginny, do you want to go into that next question that we discussed that you're going to help me with now, or wait on that?
I think that'd be great. Sure, yeah.
Okay, great. So we had this interesting email that, brought up layers of thoughts for me and Ginny. I think it's a gentleman, says, about 2 weeks ago, I stumbled onto the topic of magnesium deficiency and onto your remarkable work. Since then, I've listened to hours of your interviews, read many of your writings. I find you credible and a person of integrity. I have not tried your products yet, but I've ordered the magnesium test, and based on the result, I plan to order Remag, and RNA drops. I am, for the first time in years, excited by the prospect of regaining control over my health that I ceded to the medical establishment when I was diagnosed with AFib and given a pacemaker and pills. Following your advice, I am venturing into this endeavor by degrees, reminding myself, as you yourself cautioned, not to burden myself with expectations, but simply to see what happens. Now, isn't that beautiful? I mean, this person, step by step, doing exactly what I recommend. Reading, listening, establishing in his mind the certainty of what he's going to do. He's going to do it slowly and just make the decision to do it, and then step out of the way. Now, what he says next is quite interesting. This is what we want to address. However, I have a concern about your work I wish to voice. It is serious enough that it has almost stopped me from proceeding with everything. I am not religious in any mainstream way, quite the opposite. Therefore, I am troubled by the references in your interviews to the Bible and the overtones of Christianity and spirituality that present themselves. I am interested in science-based medicine, which I have assumed is what you practice and write about and advocate. That's what appeals to me and what has excited me. What puts me off and makes me pause is wondering to what degree I, as a non-believer, must believe in the Bible and spirituality and the ancient Jews and manna from heaven and anything other than the science in order to benefit from your work. At the same time, let me make clear that I recognize and honor a spiritual aspect to existence that transcends the rational, and I acknowledge that a positive mental outlook, which can be confused. Let me repeat. I acknowledge that a positive mental outlook, which can be confused with religious beliefs, is a powerful force for health and well-being. Nevertheless, spiritual-based science is not what I'm looking for, and I'm spooked by the possibility that that is what I'm dealing with. I was hoping this answer might be addressed in the upcoming radio program. At first, I thought, that it's too arbitrary. People have beliefs, and it would be difficult to discuss this. But I was thinking more of, what's the right answer here? And there really is no right answer because, people who've been listening to the show and have been around for years, they know that at times, a Christian aspect will be, concerned that our labels look like the devil, and they'll be, concerned about that. And now we have someone who, doesn't like any mention of Christianity. I think they must be referring to when we talk about the RNA drops and how they have that overlay, and how there is this mystery of the RNA drops. But when I voiced this in an email to Ginny, and I'll just say her words back to me and then let her elaborate. Ginny said, as a non-believer, must believe in the Bible, spirituality, in the ancient Jews, and manna from heaven, and anything other than science in order to benefit from your work. She took that quote and she said, that's the core of the question. And as an answer, and as you pointed out, there is a biological reality to our work that doesn't require belief. Magnesium does not require belief. It just is. Same with the minerals and the amino acids and the ribose sugars in the RNA drops, etc. And yes, let's talk about this. So she says, no belief required. And most of our customers are unbelievers anyway, meaning they aren't sure our stuff is going to work either, and yet it does. So Ginny, your comment at this stage.
Well, I think you said everything perfectly, Carolyn. I mean, I am, it's funny because it's almost the opposite. I'm a pastor and then became a scientist through this process of learning about these products, And my inclination was more toward the spiritual and less toward the tactile and the practical application of just what is, like I said, the biological reality of magnesium. These products don't require any belief, and most of our customers don't believe in anything, and they can barely even believe in themselves. And after, however many years it's been, whether it's 2, 3, 5, or 20, what they most don't believe of at all is their body. And they're so disappointed in their body. Their body has disappointed them somehow, and they feel let down, and it doesn't matter why. And then what ends up happening, which I love so much, is that they start taking the products, and the products actually start to restore their body, and they can have faith in their body again. And that means faith in themselves. And it really puts their power back in their own hands. So we're all over the place. I mean, we do have the alchemical bend, we have hardcore science. I mean, there are over 600 scientific references in the Magnesium Miracle Book alone. We have scientific references on all of the things about Remite. Our products are very clinically derived, and the only thing that I think about this person is that they just want to be clear that they don't, like you said, I, as a non-believer, must I believe in order to benefit from your work? And the answer is no.
Right. Yeah. Well, but I think you said it perfectly. You believe in yourself, believe in, and we do say the words, believe in the God part of you. I'd rather believe in that than thinking I have to wait for God to anoint me and take care of me. That really is a less than position. And you can see where that can happen, though, just as you said, where people have lost faith in their own bodies. They think their bodies have
betrayed them.
Betrayed them. Yeah, good word. And that is not the case. So when they get their building blocks back, they say, my body's back. And that is the part of you that doesn't require me or doctor or anyone else to take care of you. That's what I love, is in getting your body restored, then you get your confidence back, and you don't have to run around to doctors and run to the emergency room every time you have a problem, because you know that your body is working with you now, and it's certainly not against you. So yeah, hopefully that answers this gentleman's question, but it certainly I think gives other people a little more information about how we're just trying to get people, as we say, to participate in their own recovery and realize their health was always there under the surface. They just had to uncover it and foster it with the right nutrients.
Absolutely, absolutely. And there is nothing more scientific than the biological requirement of the cell. I mean, the cell itself, it transcends all belief because it is the same thing that we have in common, not only us, our cells, but human cells, dog cells, cat cells, and every other cell on, in that sphere are all the same. We're separated by a thousandth of a percent of DNA and a electromagnetic force field that catalyzes our cells into information that makes us who we are. But this is the beauty of our products. At a cellular level, the body just the cells have certain requirements, and you give those cells the building blocks, as we talked about and earlier in the show, and they will perform. So we are doing something that actually is so, what do they say now, gender neutral. It has absolutely no implication and includes everybody because it is targeted at one very specific facet, and that is the cell. It's so beautiful. It's so simple. It's so pristine. And then whatever you want to add on to it is just propaganda, and then that's your business,
Right, and I think alternative medicine and allopathic medicine has never really studied the cell. They don't get it because it is behaving electromagnetically. It behaves almost with like acupuncture meridians. They don't know how the energy travels along meridians. They don't know how a cell can respond instantaneously to something, at a distance. There's so much that they don't know about the cell that they ignore it. When medicine doesn't understand something, they ignore it. When science looks at DNA and sees that 98% of it isn't functioning in a way that they can measure, they ignore it and call it junk DNA. So you got to realize, back to our gentleman with the question, science is not the end-all and be-all. They really don't know what they're doing. They're measuring things that they know they can get a result by measuring. They don't measure things for which that confuse them. They don't measure the ineffable. And, we're not doing that either, but we're bringing forth maybe the synergism of our reset formulas that we have no explanation for their incredible synergistic action. And we're not apologizing for it either. We're just saying we're so incredibly lucky to be able to line these things up and have them work without fail or exception. Although, we will get people who say, nothing worked for me. But then when you read through their story, it's like, well, I can't take this because I have MTHFR, genetic mutation. I can't take this because I react to that. I can't do that one. So they're not taking the product. And they'll never know if they'll work because they either think they can't take them or they do react to them. And we try to say, put a few drops in the water and take that. Put some on your skin and take that. Go very slowly. But, a lot of people, they have given up and they just don't have the energy to continue. I mean, they're still looking for something to take away their problems, but intellectually they can't accept that by going slowly with our products that they will work. But maybe that's something that we'll work on with our testimonials, Jenny, is get the people to tell us, how long did it take for you to get better? Because that really frustrates people when they hear all the overnight miracles and they say, well, maybe I'm 20% better, but I'm still struggling. So everybody has their timing, I think, as well, of when they're going to get better. And in our case with the Reset products, Total Body Reset, we really can say that everybody can be helped with them. But of course, you've got to take them.
I say, what I say is 100% of the people will be helped 100% of the time if they follow the protocol 100% the way it was written for a sustainable period of time. That's what I write to people. Will this help me? And it's all those factors. They've got to use the protocol the way that it is written, and they do need to be patient with themselves. And we say, 30 days, you'll see an improvement, however slight. 3 months, you're going to see more. 6 months, you're going to turn that corner. And then usually by between 6 to 12 months, you'll be back to your old self, and then you'll switch over to a maintenance dose, and you'll just continue to trot along. And a lot of times people will, I just got an email this weekend from this gal, that I've been working with. It's 5 months, and I'm finally starting to see that corner. She's starting to turn. And it's like rounding, a marathon, track. But how, gratifying is that? Because, again, it's just incredible. People don't get better. People, this is the message. I mean, people don't get better usually, right, Carolyn? I mean, the doctors, we hear this over and over. They just stick them on these meds and just tell them this is the best we can do, and everybody's going to die.
Yeah. When they say AFib is incurable, and then they come back in 6 months and there's no AFib, and yet they don't have the intellectual curiosity or emotional curiosity to find out why. I mean, I find that distressing. And, with the products, we've said over and over again, and Ginny just mentioned, you'll go to a maintenance. I mean, look at me. I had to take 4 teaspoons of Remag in the beginning, and it might have been for a year and a half, to get my heart palpitations and leg cramps under control. I thought on this trip I'd need to go up for my maintenance. I am on 1 teaspoon a day, half a teaspoon in the morning, half a teaspoon at night. I thought I'd have to go up. This trip has been so delightful and non-stressful. I haven't had to go up. I'm still just taking the 1 teaspoon. And what I realized, Ginny, why I love traveling, it's like camping. I used to love to camp when I was a kid. I was in, Girl Guides. They call it Girl Scouts down here. And, I was a Gold Corps guide, and I just went to the stratospheres. And anyway, and so this is like camping. I made this big deal about, I'm just going to do a carry-on. Yeah, I'm going to be away for three weeks, but I'm just going to do carry-on. And everything was all meticulously packed, and I'm just having such a great time because I'm camping. I'm rinsing out my underwear. I look at the hotel I'm in right now. Oh, yeah, we'll do your laundry. Oh, how much is it to launder a pair of panties that maybe weigh 1 ounce? $5.95. And, okay, yeah, I have $5.95, but I also have a sink and a bit of soap, and I can rinse out my own underwear. Thank you very much. So anyway, I'm camping.
That's so precious. Oh, my gosh. And then I'm saving this snippet for anybody who wants to accuse Dr. Dean of being a money whore and just running after the dollars and selling out. That's so hilarious. She's washing her own underwear, people. Everybody calm down. Everybody calm down. That's awesome. Awesome. Well, everybody's enjoying the first hour. Nancy from Portland said, love this, you too. Such a great discussion and insights. Thank you, Nancy. We love you, too. She's been with us from the beginning. She's a faithful listener. Every Monday evening she's there, and we always love having her. So, Carolyn, we do have a couple questions on the chat line, and I think we probably do have some callers with questions, but I want to, and also Susan in New Zealand wants to chime in and says, you're so right, Dr. Dean. if I talk about magnesium or yeast overgrowth with the GP, their eyes glaze over, and they usually say, well, there's no evidence to support that, and then they quickly change the subject. So, yes, that's where they're at. Now, Diane says, I missed the first part of the show. Did you talk about the new Remag lotion? Very interested in that. Thank you. Carolyn, what do we want to say about the new Remag lotion?
We have a Remag lotion. We're working with different consistencies. We need your input to know whether or not you like it thin or thick. We'll start with the thin. Every Remag lotion you'll get will have 200 milligrams per teaspoon. So instead of 300 milligrams in a teaspoon of the Remag liquid, you'll have 200 milligrams. The other 100 milligrams will be the cream base, but it is awesome. We've been testing it out. So as soon as we can get the picture on that bottle on the website, we're going to start. Well, as soon as we get in the warehouse, we're going to start putting it on our shopping cart. Right, Ginny?
Yes, that's correct. Okay. Hang in there, everybody. Hour 2 on the way. This is Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here at AchieveRadio.com. Like I said, hang in there. Hour 2 is on the way.
We'll be back with Hour 2 of Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean, along with host Ginny Gunther, after this brief station break. You can also get updates and resources online by visiting drcarolyndean.com.
AchieveRadio.com. They will call this. They'll say, "Oh, the toxicology report came back." But then it's going to cause questions, and they're going to have to ask, and they're going to want to research, and they're going to know what this is. And then they're going to say, what happened? You were Rh negative. Now you're no longer Rh negative now. Now they cross-type your blood, and they can't cross-type your blood. Then you have the strangest, weirdest A negative ever. But there is no negative anymore. It's going to be a little more of a thing. So let's go with this just like this for today. Once this starts and becomes normal, then they'll say, oh, okay, we've seen this before. This is blah. They'll say this. Here's what they'll call it. In the meme, Bob's in the meme business. They will call this. They'll say, "Oh, you have the toxicology report came back, and you have what we call is ascended blood. It's a disease. It's a disease. It's anything that's not normal is a disease. So you will suffer. You will suffer from ascended blood, and that's what they'll call it."
Psychic radio, holistic radio, spiritual radio. This is AchieveRadio.com. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/AchieveRadio.
Sometimes your body not feel so fine, head hanging low most of the time. Got that meat sack not doing good, head hanging low, don't feel like you should. I talk to the Carolyn. What? Talk to the Carolyn. Talk to the Carolyn. Talk to the Carolyn.
Welcome back, everybody. Hour 2 of Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here on AchieveRadio.com. So glad you're with us this evening. 602-666-6027. That's 602-666-6027 is the phone number to call if you want to talk to Dr. Carolyn Dean this evening, and I highly recommend it. It's a great exercise. She's always got insights, very intuitive, seems to have her finger on the pulse of what's happening and can be very supportive of you in your journey of health. So if you're going to call into the show tonight, be sure to, when you call in, you've got to hit *5 on your keypad. *5 raises your hand and lets me know you have a question or comment, and then I'll put you on the phone with her. So right now I don't have any waving hands, so that means nobody wants to talk to Dr. Dean, but I'm having a hard time believing that because there's so many people on the phone. So *5 would raise your hand and let me know you've got a question or comment, and then we'll put you on the phone with her. Okay, now,
Ginny,
yes.
Let me say this. We didn't answer Diane specifically, can we say the Remag lotion will be in the cart and ready to ship within 2 weeks?
It'll be a week probably. I mean, it's already shipped, so it's on its way. So, yeah.
Okay.
But, yeah, definitely within 2 weeks because we have to have a picture, and our camera girl is on vacation. So it'll be soon, but we will get it there as soon as possible, Diane. But it's imminent. It's imminent. It's on the way.
Not like before when it was partly imminent and then it didn't show up. Not like that, no.
This is a different kind of imminent. Okay. Now, let's see. I want to point out that Christina wrote this question. Hello, I tried RNA drops, but my mouth and tongue became tingly. It seems I had a sensitivity to them, what to do. And then our wonderful peeps just all chimed in. Susan and Marcia from California chimed in and said, oh, yes, your mouth tingles, and they're very bubbly and effervescent, but you're going to be all right, and that's no problem. Then she went on to say, also, why whey protein? Now, before you answer that, Carolyn, I'm going to bring you to the next question, which was kind of an echo of that, which was, I'm interested in trying your total body reset due to food allergies. I'm allergic to gluten, corn, soy, peas, peanuts, and dairy, but I can't ingest whey. Do you believe your products will help me, but can you offer a package without the protein powder? Thanks, Coach Linda. So, what about our whey?
Well, people equate whey with being a dairy product, and what you would do is read our restructure booklet so you understand why we chose whey, and that the whey has no casein, so it does not have that allergic potential, and it has, I think, 1/10 of a teaspoon of lactose in every 3 ounces. How many ounces is a serving? So in every serving size, there's only. Yeah,
it's 27 milligrams. 27 milligrams. 27 grams.
No, grams.
27 grams, and it's 0.0625 milligrams.
Grams of milligrams, of the lactose. So anyway, what lactose intolerance is, it's a deficiency of lactase enzymes to break down lactose sugar. So that's, to us, it means that 99% of people who even have lactose intolerance can do this restructure. And it does have the RNA powder in it, which helps people digest anything. So it is your choice. We use whey because it is, it's organic, it's easy to digest. We have extra lysine in there that makes it even more powerful. When we first had this formula, Bob and I years ago, it had egg protein, and I like that. It had the egg, the pea protein, and rice protein. You do need an animal protein, I think, to get a good balance of protein. I'm not a vegetarian. I have tried the vegan and vegetarian diets, and they made me sick, and that goes with the blood group diet. I'm an O blood group, and I need animal protein. So, yes, I'm selfishly using a protein for non-ovo, non-lactose, lacto-ovo vegans. And if, as I said, it's your choice. If you feel that it gives you symptoms, then don't take it. Last week, I think we were near the end of the show where someone was saying that the restructure made them feel bloated, and I said, well, sip it. We drink this 8 ounces down like it's going to digest, whereas if you ate 11 grams of protein in a meal, you'd at least spend 15 minutes eating it. So I hope people have heard that, and they're sipping their restructure now, and if they have any little bloating symptoms with it, it may be because they're putting too much into their stomach at once and expecting it to digest by magic. So I've worked my way around that question, I hope.
Very good. Excellent, excellent. Okay, so excellent answer, very good response. Thank you, Carolyn. Very thorough. All right, and let's see what else we have. Let's see. John, I read something interesting on another website that advocates for magnesium. It said that a good rule of thumb for daily normal magnesium dosage is to multiply your weight by 5 and then convert that into milligrams. So being that I'm 250 pounds, I'd be taking 4 teaspoons of Remag daily. Dr. Dean, do you agree with this? Also, is there a maximum amount of magnesium that should not be increased?
Well, John, if I went by that and took, I don't know what your weight is. Oh, okay, dosage by, is that pounds? So for me, 100 pounds, well, maybe 110 now that I'm traveling. So 110 by 5 is 550. So 550 milligrams, no, I only need 300 of the Remag. You see, that's the problem, John. What are they talking about? 4% absorbed magnesium, 20% absorbed, or ours 100% absorbed? Because it's all different. So you can't go by that. You go by your symptoms. I needed 4 teaspoons, which was 1,200 milligrams in the beginning, and now I need 1 teaspoon. You can't go by that type of standardization. You have to, we really do have to be participating in how we figure out our magnesium needs, because they are going to change over time.
Very good, very good. Yep, exactly. I mean, I can't even imagine needing 4 teaspoons. I mean, maybe at some point if you've got massive AFib or whatever, but Remag is just so unique. We tell people, John, to start with a 1/4 teaspoon. Right? And work your way up. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. If you started with 4 teaspoons, you could overload your cells and, rev yourself up too quickly and cause a laxative effect. Because even Remag, when your cells are saturated, you will have the laxative effect when your body, as it's fail-safe with magnesium, just dumps it when you don't need that much.
Very good. Marcia from California. Ginny, will the Remag lotion be equal to the Remag liquid, meaning that we won't have to sip the Remag orally anymore? I am still having a challenge with the taste, so twice a day I take 2 teaspoons at once and I just down it with Remite and Recalcia.
Yeah, well,
Carolyn?
Ginny could answer that as well as I. Yes, it's going to be the same, right, Ginny?
Yes, it's the same Remag formula, but it's only 200 milligrams a teaspoon. So, and you've got 8 ounces in a bottle, and there's 3 teaspoons in an ounce. So you're going to have 20.
No,
right?
Wait, 3 tablespoons.
Sorry. Yeah.
Let's put it this way. There are 48 teaspoons in 8 ounces.
48 teaspoons.
That's how you remember it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
okay, so 48 teaspoons, so would that be at 200 milligrams a day? So you'd need 1.5. You'd need 1.5 teaspoons to get your equivalent of Remag if you're doing just a teaspoon. Go ahead, Carolyn. What we're hoping.
And it's your body lotion as well, so you can cut down on buying body lotion, because you'll be slathering yourself with this nice cream. It's very nice. It really does soften the skin. So what we see people doing, Marcia, is maybe taking, 1/2 teaspoon twice a day of the Remag oral, and then a teaspoon or 2 a day of the Remag lotion, and balancing things out that way. So that, and we're working on our Remag tablets as well, so that when you travel, it'll be easier. I mean, it is a big deal. You can imagine I had all these little 3-ounce bottles with my Remag in it, and then come to find out at one of the airports that, you're only allowed to have 1 quart bag of liquid. So, I had to check my bag at that airport. So it'll make it a lot easier for travelers when they have the the Remag tablets. We're working on that. It's a real long process because magnesium is so hydrophilic. It loves water, so it'll just melt the capsules because it pulls water into itself.
Yeah, it's very, very cool. Also, one thing that, let's take some phone calls and then we'll come back to some of these other chat line questions. 602-666-6027, again, the phone number. And let's go first off to the great state of New York, area code 716. You're on the line with Dr. Dean this evening. Hello, hello.
Hello, it's Reiner calling. Carolyn?
Hi, Reiner. Hey, hi, Reiner. Hey, Reiner.
How are you?
I'm good.
How are you doing?
What's up?
Excellent.
I'm doing
Excellent.
good.
Well, I had a couple. I do want to make a lovely report saying how wonderful life is since I started all the reset things. You know, we've been on them for quite a while, but the new package just seems to, seems to excel everything in a really great direction. So I haven't felt this good since I was like 25, probably. So, that's good. What a good cheering section. I did have one question, and that was simply, Gail and I were discussing the other day about you suggesting that one sips the Remag, Remite, and Recal. We usually combine them, and you're mentioning to sip them slowly throughout the day rather than having a couple of glasses in the morning and a couple of glasses later in the day or something. Is that true? Is that better then, do you think?
Well, what happens, Reiner, is some people, when they take it as a whole teaspoon at once, it stirs them up too much in the beginning. So we developed the procedure of sipping through the day so they could slowly saturate their cells and not overwhelm them. But a lot of people, they'll experiment. And if you find that taking your 1 teaspoon in the morning, 1 teaspoon in the evening, you get the same benefits, then go with that. But we have to say on our labels and in our product inserts, start with a 1/4 teaspoon and work up, put in water, sip through the day. And what it does by telling people to sip through the day and do the water guidelines, we're getting people to hydrate. And we're getting people to take their unrefined sea salt, and we're getting a lot of benefits just from hydration and the sea salt. So, there's a method to our madness, but if you feel that you have the same benefits by taking the doses 1, 2, or 3 times a day, then that's entirely up to you.
Yeah, okay, cool, because I just wanted to run that past you. Also, because you mentioned that sometimes you just pee all the stuff out too fast, so then you're not getting benefits. So I wanted to clarify that as well.
Yes, and that's one thing to be aware of. Yes, if you're taking, like the woman who can't stand the taste and takes her 2 teaspoons all at once in one dose, she may be losing some of that to her urine, and that is a waste.
Yeah, okay, that's about it for questions. And one other question around, for my question, then I have a friend who's got some really serious fibrillation problems, and he's about 80 and looking for, looking for some procedure, and I've been, of course, advising him to look into your products to see whether that can reverse things for him, which I suspect it would. What are there things I could tell him? I know I'm trying to get him to phone in to talk to you, Well,
the best thing, Reiner, is just to download our atrial fibrillation book, the free ebook on the RNA Reset website. You download it, send it to him, or print it up and give it to him, because that explains everything. And then if there are questions after that, he can phone in or can just email or phone customer service and have his questions answered, because, this is not our first rodeo.
Right. Well, definitely I was telling him to call in the service line to get a conversation going at least, because he's going to be I think he's relatively receptive, but there's an ounce of skepticism, and I thought best thing to do would be to talk to folks, right? Does that make sense?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Okay. That's a good idea.
All right.
Well, okay.
All right. Okay, that's good for me. All right, listen, big hug, good travels, happy camping.
Yeah. Thanks, Reiner. Best to you and Gail. Big hugs. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, excellent. And let's press on to California. Again, 602-666-6027 is the number. And if you have a question or want to talk to Dr. Dean, you have to hit *5 on your keypad, and we will put you on the line with Dr. Dean. Area code 818. You're on the line with Carolyn Dean this evening. You give us your name, your question and comment.
Yeah, Dr. Dean, Barry Richards. We've spoken in the past. I'm dealing with AFib. I'm in my 70s, so I've had it for quite a while. I'd still do digoxin, about, a certain amount of that once a day. And you had said that it would be better to try to get off of that. So I want to get back. I tried the products at one time. I was doing it with, I was taking one bottle of water a day and adding it to it, but then I would go through the day and I'd forget to do the whole thing through the day, and I'd try to rush it in the late day. So you did say to me that since I was kind of non-dairy at the time, and then just 6 months ago found out about about a 50 to 60% blockage in the carotid artery, that I should maybe get your Recalcia. So I wanted to now, as soon, order like the 16-ounce Recalcia, I think you have, and then you had the 16-ounce Remag. And would that also be the other one, the Reolite too, or just those two?
Well, if you remember the AFib booklet, Barry, and what Ginny said about the Remite, then people do feel better when they do take all the products. And we do only have the 16 ounces of the Remag. The other two are usually half the dosage of the Remag. Usually when you're trying to dissolve calcium in the arteries, you're looking at 3 teaspoons of Remag and then 1.5, 2 teaspoons of Remite. But the Recalcia, only if you're avoiding dairy products, and if you're trying to get your 600 milligram total and you can't get it all from food. The Recalcia is a calcium. If you're dealing with trying to reverse your calcification, I would wonder if you'd need Recalcia at this time.
Yeah, you had said if I wasn't doing, the only thing I'm added to my constitution was I've got some silk they have a product called, it's a protein made out of nuts that has 10 grams of protein and 2 grams of sugar in it. But my cardiologist said it was the only real almond drink that's out there, a nut drink that really has that kind of protein in it. So I started kind of doing a little bit of that, because I don't really do any real dairy. I don't do cheese or milk or anything with dairy in it. And then you had thought that the Recalcia might be giving me some of that, because you said my body might be pulling that from my body and creating that calcification for that carotid artery. I mean, that was one of your thoughts.
Right. Yeah, and in the meantime, had you had your ionized calcium blood test to see what that shows?
No, I haven't done that, and I haven't gone in for another carotid artery. They wanted to check that 6 months down the road. It's probably been about 6 months now since they did that.
Wow.
So I thought maybe I might do that. But you're also saying to take what'd you say, what do you call it again? You just said it, to take a test for my eyes. What did you say?
Yes. Ionized calcium test. When they do blood testing now, we want them to do ionized magnesium. They won't, but they do ionized calcium testing. So you can rely on an ionized calcium testing to be a true number, so that if you're mid-range or high, then you're good on your calcium. You don't have to worry too much about getting extra calcium.
I see.
That's where if you have high calcium, it may be the calcium that could be potentially building up in your carotids, and you don't have to give yourself more. If your calcium is low, then you may need a bit just to for the calcium functions in your body.
Right. So take that test first and check. Take the test first, and then we see if I need any recalcia. So in the meantime,
that's right.
I had in the meantime, to get the products I do need, I said I had tried it before by putting it all in one water bottle and sipping it through the day. Didn't work for me because I would forget to do it through the day. I mean, I hydrate myself a lot with water, but I'd forget to do that, and then I said, oh, God, I've forgotten that, and try to do it. So then you said, well, you don't need to do that. Why don't you try it? You had said one, or like you were mentioning the former gentleman on the phone, maybe 2 or 3 times through the day. Would that be a better option, or what?
Yes, it's better when when you express that you don't get your bottle finished. Then definitely do 2 or 3 times a day to make sure you get it in you, because that's the only way this stuff works is if you take it.
No, I know, I got you. So if I go on the site. And that's the support. That's the support. What is it called? Support?
At rnareset.com. That's the email, Barry. The site is just www.rnareset.com.
So at that, if I order, will Ginny or someone be sending me and I tell them I need, they'll send me the exact, what in dosages I should take for each? If I'm going to do it 2 or 3 times a day.
Right. The way we've mentioned this already a few minutes ago, Barry, we start people off at a 1/4 teaspoon. What you might do is phone the customer service and state where you're at and all the rest of it. And our people listen to the show so they know what we're talking about, and they can reinforce how to begin them and what levels to go to. I was saying go to 3 teaspoons of Remag, 1.5 to 2 of Remite, and just hold off on the recalcia.
Gotcha. Now, could you just again maybe refresh me with that 800 number, please?
Ginny?
I'm sorry, it's 888-577-3703. It's on the side of all of our bottles. So if you have our bottles, you've got
gotcha.
the number.
Okay, I do some of the other ones. All right, ladies, I appreciate the information. Thank you, Doc and Ginny.
Right.
And if I have any other
Barry.
questions, I'll check back.
Yeah, thanks for hanging in there. I know it's a process, and maybe if you go back to the AFib booklet, then it will refresh you as well. And everybody is different, but everybody's also the same. So there's the same basic guidelines, and then that's why customer service is there to help fine tune.
Gotcha.
Okay.
All right. Thanks.
Okay,
Jeff.
great.
Appreciate it. Okay.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Okay, excellent. Very good. Very good. 602-666-6027 is the number. If you call to talk to Dr. Dean this night, please hit *5 on your keypad to let me know you have a question or comment. Otherwise, we'll press on with our busy schedule. Pressing on. Okay, let's do this and ask these questions. Where are we here?
Chat.
Ellen. Yes, here
Ellen,
it is,
okay.
Ellen. I have been on the Remag for more than 1 year. I slowly added the Remite, the RNA drops, and recently the Realign and the Himalayan salt in water, everything except the protein powder. A couple weeks ago, I increased the Remag slightly up from 1 teaspoon. That night, I had level 9 Charlie horse in my calf. I got scared and went off the Remag and Remite the next day. I've started all over again with a 1/4 teaspoon of both daily. Please comment on the sudden Charlie horse event. Do I need recalcia? How does one know if they need calcium?
Well, when something happens like that, Ellen, where it's just, you bumped it up a little bit and then you get a cramp, I mean, I don't even know. Now that I'm hearing this, because I did notice the email before. I'm wondering, was something else going on? Did you have a busy day? Did you exercise? Did you walk up some stairs? Did you do something that would give you a leg cramp? Because a little increase of Remag should not give you a cramp of level 9. So it just doesn't sound like the way magnesium works, because what we would say if you have a cramp like that is if you had the Remag lotion, just slather it on, or put some Remag liquid on your hand and rub it in. The treatment for a Charlie horse is magnesium. So it doesn't make sense what happened there. But, I would slowly increase it, and if you can remember back to that day, and if there was something that possibly aggravated, I mean, I know when I do extra swimming and kick and really strain my legs in the pool, I can get a bit of a tiny Charlie horse. It's just the way that it might react to exercise rather than being a strict magnesium deficiency. So that's what I have to say.
Very good. Excellent. Okay, wonderful. And where are we with everything else? I think we're all caught up with everybody else and their questions. And then Christine, I'm new to your website. Do you have any testimonials that magnesium helps Parkinson's? We have a great booklet that I can send you, Christine. It's from the University of Adelaide Press, and it is Magnesium in the Central Nervous System. And it goes over all the information about how magnesium is so essential to brain function. And I'd be happy to send it to you, and you can study that. And that is at support, SUPPORT, at RNAreset.com. Just email me and put, magnesium in the central nervous system, or just, booklet from the university, whatever, Parkinson's in the subject line. I'll know it's you, and then I'll send it to you. Anything else you want to add to that, Carolyn?
No, that's the way to start. I think we've had people who've told us their Parkinson's improved. In fact, some people have said about the various nerve diseases that they've been misdiagnosed. Their magnesium deficiency has been called a severe neurological disorder, and when they took magnesium, their symptoms improved. But, with something like Parkinson's, any chronic disease, magnesium has to help in some way. We can't say it's the cure for an individual person, but it's definitely going to help.
Right,
so and
let me just also say, Carolyn, that one of the main things that magnesium does is alleviate stress. And any kind of imbalance like that, Parkinson's or Alzheimer's or any kind of chronic condition, is a stressor on the body. And I just remember, years ago when I broke my ankle, I was fascinated that my whole body just immediately diverted all of its energy to my ankle. And it was just like all hands on deck, ankle. And until my ankle got better, you could just feel where the energy was. And this is what the body does. It's very judicious. And so, if you've got something like that going on, you want to have your magnesium, your minerals, and your basic nutritional elements covered so that it relieves stress. The last thing you want to do is have Parkinson's and then stress out the body.
Right. Yes, so in fact, we keep answering these questions, and people keep asking them as if magnesium is a drug that will treat a specific condition, whereas we have to keep saying, magnesium is necessary for the body to function at all, and therefore you need the Remag. And on top of that, if you have a disease, then you just need a little more Remag.
Right, very good. Excellent. All right, yes, Carolyn, on with the mailbag. Ding, ding, ding.
Okie doke. This mother writes, my son, who's 24, has a poor microbiome. That means the intestinal bacteria are out of balance. He had a traumatic birth and swallowed meconium, which put him into distress. So that's fecal matter that the fetus extrudes during a stressful delivery, and then swallow some. So it's just yucky. They can aspirate it into their lungs. She said that she'd been put on antibiotics because she had a fever during labor and ended up having an emergency. And neonatal ICU doses point out the ear infections, sinus infections, respiratory infections. I'm assuming with the amount of antibiotics he has taken, this has destroyed his microbiome and his immune system as well. So what he's got there is yeast overgrowth. And the infections are probably, a lot of them, ear and sinus especially, are often yeast, respiratory. That's often viral. I don't know that you get yeast respiratory infections. So, yes, microbiome imbalance of bacteria, but I think it's mostly yeast. And that would be the yeast protocol we recommend. The yeast book is coming out next week. The probiotics for the microbiome are soil-based probiotics. So then the question is, I'm wondering if your RNA reset is a solution to his problems. Well, the solution is the way we look at the total body meltdown. It's the building blocks with the Remag, Remite, and the sea salt water, and maybe Recalcia. It's the gentle detox with Realign. It's building the new cells with RNA drops. And it's the yeast detox protocol with the soil-based probiotics. Most recently, he had a bout of diarrhea, which had lasted over a week, now starting the GAPS diet, GAPS diet. This is frustrating for him, but he did agree to see a functional medical doctor, and yes, the doctor is wanting to run tons of tests to figure out what's going on, when in fact I'm pretty sure he's got SIBO, small intestinal bowel overgrowth and leaky gut and all the other digestive issues that he wants to test for, such as gluten sensitivity. Sheep brackets, aren't we all? So I'm wondering if changing his diet, which he has been gluten-free, and using your protocol, do you think this can reset his digestive tract from all the things he's been through? Thank you for your help. So it's not just the RNA reset. This is, reset the yeast connection. So that book is going to be helpful for this person, Ginny. So we'll make sure she gets this this recording. And she's asking about the GAPS diet, and I think in the yeast book I talk about that. There's so many different diets out there now, and they tend to be very similar. The GAPS diet, as they say, I'm just Googling just for some words. The GAPS diet was derived from the specific carbohydrate diet, and that diet, I remember when I was writing the IBS for Dummies book, I was overviewing the specific carbohydrate diet, and I realized it was a yeast-free diet, but it was so strict. Some of these are just so strict that people can't stay on them for long. They can be helpful, but they're just too strict. And what I'm finding with the total body reset, the reset products, they have the different nutrients that will help the body develop a stronger immune system. The Remag is important for detoxifying the yeast toxins, as are several of the minerals in the Remite. The Realign really supports the liver detoxification and produces glutathione, another detoxifier. So it wasn't until people started using Remag and now using the whole total body reset that they were really able to get somewhere with their yeast protocols. And that's why people turn away from the yeast treatment. They try it for a short time, and it's just too strict, and they don't stick with it, and they just end up saying, well, it didn't work. And then they look for another diet or another product or another. And what we're doing is just, pulling people back into, look, just do it right and do it with the total body reset. Support your whole body. Don't just look at your gut. We're talking about total body breakdown, So why do you just look at your gut? And you know, it's thousands of dollars of tests, you know, it just, and the doctor is going to, that 50% of the cost of the test goes to the doctor. They make money off these tests, and they just end up pulling you in all kinds of different directions because the doctor isn't looking at the overall picture that it's yeast overgrowth and mineral deficiencies. So that's my answer for this poor mother with a sick adult son. And
wow.
I will continue on if or do you have some comments about that, Ginny?
No, that was great, Carolyn. Very good information. No, good. Carry on. Very good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. I came across this Facebook review. I liked it. Says this book is chock full of information for your health. It exposes the importance of magnesium. It's so well written. She goes into everything related to magnesium and its role in the body. She gets into minerals, vitamins, and approaching health from the ground up. I'm so impressed with her honesty. I went ahead and bought her Remag, and I'm starting her Total Body Reset now. Among small bits of advice in the book, I've already gotten results from Epsom salt and topical magnesium on my feet. Wow, was my reaction to sea salt and water. I didn't know about the minerals in sea salt. I believe Dr. Dean's talk about filtering drinking water. I got filters. I'm very happy I did. I put Dr. Dean up with the best advice I've found in my lifetime. I'm glad I read the book. You will too. Isn't that sweet? Very nice. You know, when people take time to do that, it's very much appreciated. A mailbag question. My daughter has a very rare issue with her kidneys. They don't hold magnesium. She currently takes 20 pills of magnesium per day, and her level is usually around 1.5. That must be the serum magnesium. In addition, her potassium and phosphorus levels are slightly low, and she takes 9 pills daily for these. She's seen the head of kidney disease at some hospital for 9 years. He consulted with the Mayo Clinic and other doctors, but there's no documentation of anyone in the world with similar problems. She was born without enamel on her teeth, has hearing loss, ADHD, learning difficulties, hemiplegia, P-L-E-G-I-C, half her body is paralyzed, it sounds like, migraines, etc., wondering if you've come across anyone with similar issues as my daughter. Now, there are 2 syndromes I wrote her and said, Barter's syndrome and Gittleman syndrome. And we've had people with those conditions who've lessened their need for intake of their pills or their IVs. You know, we have people who've had to be on IV magnesium and replaced it with Remag. Now, this little girl, I don't know how old she is actually, but it almost sounds like a genetic condition. And all I can say is that the Remag definitely will help her. But, that's quite a serious condition. Mailbag. I've been on Remag for about 6 weeks. I started because I was waking up every morning with back spasms. Those went away after only 2 days on Remag, ! I'm continuing to take 3 teaspoons per day, but I'm getting the laxative effect. Any recommendations? Now, the recommendation, and it usually works, is for people to take psyllium seed powder. 1 or 2 teaspoons through the day, and only about 4 to 6 ounces of water, and that just helps to bulk and bind up the stools so they don't get too loose. I underwent an ablation at the beginning of March, and I was diagnosed with sleep apnea in 2010, both magnesium deficiency symptoms. I'm approximately 40 pounds overweight. The only medication I'm on currently is blood thinner. My doctor says I can come off of that at the end of the month if I have no further AFib issues. So that's awesome. This gentleman, the Remag, hopefully will cure his AFib. another mailbag until Ginny stops me in my tracks is...
Nope, keep going.
Yeah. A woman says, in the last month, I've started using the protocol of total body reset. Looking forward to feeling better in the near future. I have hepatitis C and was wondering if there are any studies on chronic viral diseases such as hep C and magnesium, and any natural suggestions to rid my body of the virus. Now, what's interesting about magnesium, if you call in my Magnesium Miracle book, and the newest edition is coming out in August, so get in there and do your pre-buy. We want to boost up. We want to make this book a number one on Amazon, because then we can go to some of the big radio shows and say, we've got a number one book of a life-saving mineral, and we want to talk about it to the world. So if you're thinking of buying the newest edition, and I know I can see from the sales that people are waiting for the August edition of the book, so go in there and pre-buy it. Yes, I am being very aggressive today on my marketing of these products because we are on a mission. We definitely want to promote this life-saving mineral. So this woman is talking about hep C. In the Magnesium Miracle book, I do talk about a French doctor who was treating polio with magnesium. It is very antiviral. It is very supportive of the liver. I don't know what it will do, if it will convert vitamin C, hepatitis C into an inactive state, but you can help us prove that by doing the REMAG and seeing how your body responds. The whole total body reset will help because it'll help detoxify the toxins that the hep C virus makes. So I don't think we have any, we have people with herpes who are getting better and, people who say they just don't get sick anymore, but I'd love to see what we can do with hepatitis C. And this last thing that I have on my list here, I think Chad sent this to me a while back. A study out of Oxford University found that people over the age of 75 who take the blood-thinning pills are 10 times more likely than younger patients to suffer disabling or fatal bleeds. So that's something that, this is a new study. This is really something that doctors have to factor into their prescribing of blood thinners to people over 70. And I don't know what age groups they were looking at, but if you're 10 times more likely than younger patients to suffer a fatal bleed, where's the benefit of a drug like that? And these are the people that should be on the REMAG and the total body reset so that they can reverse their arrhythmia so they don't have to take these drugs. Because, and maybe as the previous mailbag stated, that this gentleman says, my doctor says I can come off of his blood thinner at the end of the month if he has no further AFib issues. So that is our mandate, is to get rid of the arrhythmia so you can get off these drugs that have such severe side effects. So that's the end of my mailbag, Ginny. We can chat.
Ooh, how exciting. Now, let's see. Oh, Rami's here this evening. Hello, Rami. She's been busy because I haven't heard from her much. She's been sneaking in late, like to the back of the class and taking her seat quietly and not letting anybody know she's in the room. 602-666-6027 is the phone number. If you are on the line or want to call in and talk with Dr. Dean this evening, you've got to hit *5 on your keypad. That will raise your hand and let me know you have a question or comment, and then I will put you on the phone with her. If you're trying to get through and you think you've raised your hand and hit *5, you haven't, email me at the chat line, and I'll look for your area code, or just hit *5 again, and it should click over. Let's see. Lori says, I can't wait for your new books and lotion. Yeah, I know. The new book is great. We got it in the warehouse today, Carolyn. We got our... Yes, just a handful. Random House is so generous. But they are in the warehouse, and we're going to be shipping them off to our good international customers so we can have some, not customers, but our international doctor teams and things to do the review. So it's getting there, people. It's getting closer and closer. But 600 medical references, just wait till you get to that. You are just going to be blown away when you see how imperative. And it's so funny now because people are, they email us all the time. Dr. Dean's quoted in this article, and I just saw this video about magnesium, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, yep, everybody's starting to catch on. Dr. Dean's still way ahead, though, way ahead. All right, let's take a couple phone calls.
Quickly, how does the book look? How does it feel in your hand?
It's not a book. It's it looks like a journal. It's just got a black plastic cover on it.
Oh.
Yeah, but yes, I haven't picked. Yeah, it's what they call a galley, so it's just a reader's copy, so it's not looking super sexy yet.
Okay.
Yeah, but it will.
Okay, good. Phone calls.
Okay, area code 303. You're on the line with Dr. Dean this evening. If you could give us your name and then state your question or comment.
My name is Jackie, and I have a question about the show you did on iron, and I have a normal ferritin, but it was 147 the last time I had it tested, but my saturation is 55%, and the range goes up to 50. So, and I have, I could give you a long list of what I'm dealing with, but and I have some questions about some other products too, but I wanted to see what you thought about that saturation rate.
Right. I mean, what? Give me your name again. I'm sorry. I
Jackie.
Okay, Jackie. Yes. What Jackie's talking about is, I guess it was last week I talked about the iron, how you can get overloaded. You have to have enough copper to make sure you have ceruloplasmin, which is a protein that binds copper, and excess iron. When your iron protein is too saturated, it means some of the iron can spill over into the body and cause parts of your body to, well, some people say rust, R-U-S-T, because it oxidizes and causes symptoms. And I guess, and you say, Jack, you have a lot of symptoms, so tell me what you've been taking for it, and has anything helped?
Well, I have celiac disease and Hashimoto's, and I'm also EMF sensitive, Dr. Dean, and you're the only doctor that has doctors know about this. It's pretty rare. I think people have it, don't know they have it, but you reference it in your book, the calcium or the magnesium miracle, and that the calcium overload you think is part of the problem, perhaps. And
right. And in the newest book, Jackie, I finally found a study where they're agreeing. And did we happen to send you that excerpt from the new book? Or
no.
You're just okay.
I'd love to get it.
Yeah. Yes, I will cut and paste it now. And send it to Ginny, and you can email her at support@rnareset.com. Okay. And we'll give it to you because, it's been totally ignored. It's have so many things. So yes, it is a calcium channel problem for some people. Okay, go ahead.
So what I've been taking, you had asked, I've been working with a doctor. I worked with a lot of different doctors over the last year and a half because I had a complete meltdown with my thyroid. I had been on, I don't know, you know the Wilson's temperature syndrome? I did that. I was on elevated thyroid hormone, then I was on a mixed combination. It was just a lot of bad advice, and I ended up getting I got off of the thyroid hormone. Long story short, I'm finally working with a doctor, not an MD, a DC, but a functional medical endocrinologist who really recommended that I get off of the T3 altogether. So I've been taking a low-dose thyroid hormone, and I'm taking a lot of different supplements to get my body back working. And so I'm taking the Remag. I started that about 3 months ago, and then I started the RNA drops about 6 weeks ago. And but I'm also taking glutathione and some, I have the MTHFR gene, so I take B, methylated B, I take C, D, E. I've cut back on my D based on your recommendation. But I wonder if the high amount of vitamin D that I was taking and the lack of copper may be part of the problem why I'm not getting the iron balanced in my body.
Yeah. What with the thyroid?
Carolyn,
your
phone kind of cut out there. Your phone cut out there for a minute.
Okay, good. Okay, Jackie. Yes, it's interesting the way you stated your case. I was, reading what I would do into it. Yes, the thyroid hormone. If you support your thyroid with the Remite minerals, which also have the copper, then that would be supportive of your ceruloplasmin to help mop up your extra iron. And the glutathione, we have that precursor in our Realign along with the methylated Bs. And yes, the vitamin D has caused a lot of problems for people because it uses up so much extra magnesium in order to metabolize it, that your magnesium gets distracted from taking care of your thyroid, your EMF sensitivity. So yes, it's see what happened, Jackie, is in my decades of being exposed to all these symptoms, just over the years, that when I finally got around to making products, my mind just made me put everything together so that, when I talk about total body meltdown, I'm looking at people who have gut problems and the celiac, that's like extra gluten sensitivity, so you have to be really careful. And it's unfortunate when people, they do something like the Wilsons, that's a whole thing for thyroid balance, but it goes right to hormone replacement rather than looking at the minerals. And
it was bad. I mean, very bad for me. I really got symptomatic. They kept the doctor kept taking me up, and I think he should have brought me down. But that's it's hindsight. I have talked to my doctor about taking a mineral supplement like yours, and he has me on. I'm taking some selenium to support the thyroid. The concern is that I not take any iodine whatsoever, which I feel like that's old thinking in a way. And I was curious about that because when I look at the ingredients in your Remite, boy, the iodine's pretty high relative to everything else on a percentage of RDA. So I was curious if you have concerns about that for people with Hashimoto's. I mean, obviously you don't, or you wouldn't be recommending it, but...
All right, thank you. Yes, as long as you have proper amounts of selenium, then the iodine shouldn't be a problem, because the iodine, it works for the thyroid, but it's absolutely essential for helping our white blood cells make the peroxidases to deal with infections. So the iodine isn't just glomming into the thyroid, it's being busy elsewhere. So that's why we need at least the RDA. I mean, we're just talking about 75 micrograms, twice a day. So it's the low RDA, everything got really kind of crazy, and we only have about 2 or 3 minutes, Jackie. Everything got crazy when people started recommending very high dose iodine, and it came about, for breast cancer and, serious diseases, but then people started taking it for other things, and that caused caused a lot of symptoms. But anyway, I think you can Google, I think it's Chris Kresser, Kresser. He has some good information on his blogs about how selenium does help balance the taking iodine either in the diet or in low-dose supplementation, and how that seems to prevent iodine from worsening Hashimoto's.
Okay, so you think that the copper as well as, the other minerals will help reduce the iron load, the saturation load in my body?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
The other question I had real quickly, I eat a lot of protein because I'm on a paleo autoimmune FODMAPs compliant diet. There's a mouthful. And I eat a lot of animal protein because, that's hard. There's not much else I can eat. I have to eat very strictly in terms of the vegetables, and I eat a lot of fats, and I'm very underweight, and I am not. My bowels aren't working, but the methionine I've heard, if you eat a lot of animal protein, you get a lot of that anyway, and you don't want to get too much of it. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, what are my thoughts on that? I don't think I have time to think about it because we're almost done, Jackie, but it's a great question. And will you be able to come back next week or in 2 weeks after July 4th? Because I'd like to follow up with you on that, okay?
Okay, I'd love to. Thank you so much, Dr. Dean. I so appreciate listening to you. I've learned so much. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Jackie, and take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, Carolyn, great show. Thank you very much. And everybody, if you need any support, it's support@rnareset.com. Have a good night, Carolyn.
Thanks, sweetie pie. I love you. Mean it.
AchieveRadio.com. AchieveRadio.com.
When it's much more simple than that. You have a physical body. Your physical breathing, blood pumping, mucus-creating physicality that has access to non-physical. And everyone has that inside them. That's how the coroner can tell if you're deceased or not. You were saying that all those things that you interact with were also a creation. And we say yes, but